And join us now in the studio now for more is CEO of Boxer, Ben Shalom. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. How are you? Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. First time on this show.
Ben, you look relieved to be on the big show.
Yeah. I've
Never
heard about this one.
A lot of people use Jim and Simon as a warm-up and then eventually go on.
It does feel like that. It feels like I'm on Jonathan Ross.
A couple of punch bags for us. Don't worry about that. The weekend's action, you got rising star Callum Simpson in action against Steve Woodhall. It's up in Sheffield.
Yeah, look, you know, with Callum Simpson, a lot of people may not have heard of him yet. He's a super middleweight that keeps on winning, but the thing about him is he's a Yorkshireman, and we've had a lot of famous fighters there, but he keeps selling out. We did Oakwell in June. He sold 7,000 tickets in 24 hours. He sold out this weeks ago. We're back at Oakwell in May, and when you have a star like that can fight, that looks the part, that's just a phenomenal super middleweight, you're onto a winner. And
big puncher, just busy.
Big puncher. He has everything. And you'll see him on Saturday night on Sky Sports against another big puncher, Steve Woodhall, coming off the back of a knockout win against Lerone Richards, which caught a lot of people by surprise, but a fantastic fighter. It's a great fight on Saturday night.
Different level for Callum Simpson, is it?
Yeah, massive step up. Yeah. Massive step up. Also on the card, Caroline Dubois returns. She's just become world champion. Katie Taylor's old title. Yeah. A lot of people tipping her to become the next face of women's boxing. Wow. And she's very, very special, 23-year-old.
We'll talk about Daniel in a moment, because February 22nd card's a big
what
one.
A card.
Buatsi.
Yes.
He's fighting now. He's taking on who?
Callum Smith.
Just before you tell us about that particular fight, Ben, Big Al and I, it seems for a while, we were moaning and mumping and moaning about not getting the big fights. When you wanted to see, any boxing fan, you want to see the big fights. I tell you what, we can't complain now.
It's ridiculous, even to be involved in the sport at the moment. You know, when we started, we tried and we came into the industry. We wanted to work with every promoter. We wanted to try and make it. We didn't have the resources necessarily to change the whole industry. And there's one man now in Turkey Al-Sheikh that's completely turned it upside down. You know, the promoters having to work together, the fighters having to take the fights. We were with him last night making an absolutely huge fight. It's just happening, and it's an unbelievable time to be involved in boxing. It's special.
Well, I'm looking, I've got the card in front of me for the February 22nd in Riyadh. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But tell us about Buatsi Smith. That is a fight I mean, you could pick any of those fights and they're all top class, but that one we're looking forward to.
Yeah, every one is a main event. Josh Buatsi headlines over here, and to see him in the first 2 or 3 fights on that card just tells you about that card. But it's a huge fight against Callum Smith. Josh Buatsi, Olympian, unbeaten, gone through the whole domestic scene. Callum Smith, former world champion, former 2-time world champion. Probably his last chance to become world champion again. It's just a mouth-watering fight.
We should not forget Daniel Dubois against Joseph Parker. Because I thought Joseph maybe had done his bit and was on the way in, but he's come back. And Daniel Dubois, we've spoken to Daniel a few times in here. He's a different person now. He's so confident, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the turnaround that Daniel's had special.
Incredible.
But I have to say, I think a lot of people in the industry fancy Joseph Parker in that fight.
Really? Is that right?
It's a big fight, but I have to say,
is he understated?
He is. Look at his run. Look at how he's come back. Sometimes fighters just have to find a certain trainer, certain strength and conditioner, and things click into place. And his run at the moment, he's been there, he's done it, he's got the T-shirt, he's a former world champion. He's still only 31 years old. I think he's coming in on February to upset everyone.
I'll tell you something, getting back to the card, that card's full of top class fights. Another fight that we've been speaking about, seems we've been speaking about for a long time now. Yeah. Are we going to see that?
I think this is the week. You know what it is? When I did the Amir Khan Kell Brook fight, and I always thought, coming in, surely this is easy to make. You know, you're almost business partners. You the two of you can get in the ring and make this huge event and make multi millions. But they hated each other. We couldn't get the families involved. We couldn't get them together. I didn't think it would be like that with Chris and Conor, but it's been horrible.
Well, that's my question to you, right? Because we're probably sitting here thinking it's pretty straightforward. You get them together, a bit of negotiation here and there, and you get the deal done. But sometimes, is it out with the fighters themselves? Can it be representatives, families, everybody getting involved?
It can. Ultimately, when the fighters want the fight, it usually happens.
Yes.
But The problem is boxers are a mad breed. They're not normal people. They're egomaniacs. They like to fight. They get riled up. They can see their enemy across the table. They don't want to give an inch, and that's the same inside the ring and outside the ring. So you can only imagine what it's like.
Ben Eubank, there's this problem with the weight difference, isn't there? Who does that favour? Does it favour the guy who's coming up in weight or the guy who's coming down? In European,
tell you after the fight.
It honestly depends. Look, they both agreed now to fight a middleweight. I think the reality is Conor Benn is coming up in weight. And it just depends whether his power can carry. It just depends. He's not going to have the problem that Chris has, which is draining himself, which is the pain of the camp, taking off that weight. You're only half the man once you take off that weight. And so it's an interesting, intriguing, fascinating fight, but we've got to see it get over the line. This is the week, and if it doesn't, we might not ever see it.
Be great to see
Ben,
it.
how do you get on with Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn at the moment? Is it a problem or?
Listen. Look, I got my promoter's license at 23 years old, and I was under no illusion it was going to be a brutal career choice. These guys have been running it for decades.
Is it a bit like that? Only one sheriff in town?
It definitely has been like that. It definitely is like that. I think as you grow, as you become harder to ignore, as your stable gets bigger, as the shows you get on gets bigger, it becomes more difficult to ignore. But it has been tough. You have every trick in the book, some that you can't even say on live radio, thrown at you. You can only imagine this is boxing, and these guys know every trick in the book. But it's got to the point now, I have to say, where the promoters are working with each other, and it has become easier. Yes, thanks to His Excellency, but yes, just because of us getting bigger, and we're doing big fights now in Matchroom. Eubank-Benn is obviously a fight between boxer and Matchroom. We've done fights with Queensbury. There's a bit more resistance from old Frank because because he doesn't want anyone in the patch, and he's a new boy in town, but it's getting better, and particularly with Eddie now, there's fights that we're making.
Ben, just on, I don't know if you want to state because we're live on air now, but Ali and I were talking about Fury. Yeah, against I still think Fury did not. I don't think Fury lost that fight. But you're the expert. Yeah. You're saying he lost.
He lost. Yeah. He lost. It's about the cleaner punches. It's the quality work. It's the cleaner work. Of course, the bigger man sometimes may appear on a TV screen as the aggressor, as the one that's causing problems. But Alexander Usyk is a masterful technician, a fantastic boxer. It was a close fight, but for me, he won it by a few rounds.
Ben, before I know we're running out of time, I want to ask you somebody that divides opinion. Ben Whittaker, what's your plans for him?
He's back in April. I didn't think the noise around him could get any bigger.
That's amazing.
But after October, it's phenomenal, and now it's whether he can deal with that pressure. That was the first blip in his career. Yep. That's when you see someone who's had it really quite easy, maybe slight complacency in the sport. You're going in with fighters where it's life or death. And when you're making the multi-millions already in your career and you're a big star, that can play its part. I think it's a good time to
probably find out more about people.
Ben, just one quick one. Fabio from Ipswich.
Yeah.
Is he? Where'd you rate him?
Look, I think there's a gulf between British level and world level. And now it's about him whether he can step up. He had a fantastic knockout last time.
That first fight was brilliant at the O2.
For me, it was fight of the year. Yeah, it was special. Those two heavyweights were unbelievable. That's what boxing is about, a proper British heavyweight fight.
Well, Ben, you're welcome anytime. Now you've tasted.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
This is special.
More people have listened the last 10 minutes than they'll get from him.
I'm not going back on White Jordan.
Swerve
it. Ben, thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Right,
and good luck. Ben Shalom, founder and co-founder, CEO, boxer. So let's hope we get that fight. I'd like to see that one. I really would. Eubank Jr. and Ben, it'd be brilliant. Definitely. Thanks, Ben.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.